In this video, we'll introduce you to the features of the I/O Lunar Return Interpreter program. We'll begin with our I/O interpreter open. We are going to select a chart from a saved file already. To begin, we'll click on Mr. Bob Dylan. Then we go up to Returns at the top of the screen. Select Lunar Return. You'll see that the setup window opens with Bob Dylan's natal chart on the left and the nearest lunar return on the right. If we wanted to move to a future return, we simply click the button, the up button on the right of the date field to go to future returns. Click down to go to past returns. We'll select his March return. Next, we would enter the city where Bob Dylan's going to be. If it's his birthplace, you can leave it as it is, but likely someone will be somewhere else. So let's put Bob in Santa Cruz, California. Now, if you're in a different country, you simply enter the city and the country in the state field. Next step is very important. You click the Atlas button. The Atlas window opens with the most likely location selected. If that's correct, simply hit Insert. If it's not correct, scroll to the correct location. Select it by clicking on it, and you would insert it. We'll go back to Santa Cruz, Insert. The program puts in the proper longitude and latitude, and it also will make sure the correct time zone is used in the report. Next, you would select the sections that you want to include. These are user options. You can include the introduction, of course the returns interpretation, and the lunar transits. One note, you see this little button called Editable? If I click this, this is going to allow me to create a folder in my I/O files folder that will have all the text used to generate these reports. You can then go in and edit and modify using your favored word processor. We're not going to do that. We're going to use the default. Now note, the program has two features here. With your I/O interpreter, you also received our Midnight Ephemeris. This will allow you to generate an Ephemeris page for Bob Dylan for the month of his lunar return. Click Ephemeris. There's the full page with all the details, including voids, eclipses, phases. Come back, click Interpret, and we have the full interpretation with introduction. Now note the 5 buttons at the top of each page. Each of these is a preset format: margins, fonts, colors of fonts, whether they're bold or not. Each of these can be modified by the user, you, through your preference or through the format button. The format button lets you select the header fonts from your list of available fonts, the body, and the glyph font to be used. I/O Wizardry is a default. You may have purchased the Pendragon fonts as part of your package. You can determine the size of the fonts and the colors of the font. You can also determine if the page is going to be justified text or ragged right. You can set your margins, and you can use inches, centimeters, or points, of course. You can determine what's going to be included as a cover page and whether you're going to indicate the zodiac and the prepared by information. If you don't want those, you simply uncheck them, of course. And that button will always be what you have set. The same is true with any of these. And the same thing is true with the Ephemeris page. Now there is one more option for the program that you might want to include, and that is a chart cover page, the chart of the lunar return. You'd go to Designs at the top of your screen. In Designs, you go to Cover Pages, select Lunar Return, and there's the optional lunar return chart that you can include if you'd like to. You notice it includes Bob's natal chart information, because this is a derived chart, and of course the lunar return chart information. Now to save these, the most used format and the safest format for sending to a client or uploading to a website is PDF, and this applies to all 3 documents here. You simply go to select the document, go to File, select Print. When the print dialog window opens up, as it did here, at the bottom left corner you'll see PDF. Select Save as PDF. Name it if the name isn't in here already. Determine where you're going to put it. You can put it on your desktop, you can create a folder in your documents, whatever you'd like to do with that. I'm going to save this to the desktop and simply click Save. And you see that the report is saved as a PDF file that I can easily attach and send to a client. I clicked it and it opened up in preview. So here we have our entire report. Now you see the created by information. This will be your information, not ours, of course. Quit preview. So let's back up a couple steps. We'll just close these out for the time being. Initially we assumed that you already had a natal chart saved for the individual for whom you're going to make the report. Let's say that you don't. You'd go to File at the top of your screen and select New Chart, and a new chart data card opens. Now let's review the card. In your IO interpreter you can select a natal chart, an event chart, or a sunrise chart if the birth time is unknown. You'd select your zodiac, and available for this program are tropical and sidereal. There are 15 house systems. You'd select your house system. Now you can set the default house system for yourself in your preferences, and that information is in the manual. So the first thing we do is enter the name. Now you don't have to have a first name, but you do have to have a name in the last name field. So we'll do Joe Test. Tab from field to field, and I'll show you why in just a moment. If you use Euro dating, the program will also use Euro dating. I'm using Western dating or US dating. So we're just going to enter 07 20 1973 and tab out. Now I could have entered July 20th, 1973 as well. So however you'd like to enter it, what's most efficient for you. The time, 11:08. So that's just 11 space 08 space AM or PM, no punctuation. I'll tab again and you see that the program completes it. City, we'll use Santa Cruz again. Santa Cruz, CA, you can use the abbreviation. Now if you're in another country where the state field is, you would put country, your country name of course. Now the next step is very important. You've told the program what type of chart you're creating, you've given it all the information you need, the name of the individual, the date, the time, the location. So you click the Atlas button. The most likely city is already selected. If that's correct, you simply click Insert. If it weren't correct, you would select the city from the list, click it to highlight it, and Insert. So I'm back to Santa Cruz. Insert. And you see the program put in a universal time, it didn't put in the proper longitude and latitude. It will also put in the proper time zone for the date and location. So the next step is to save this. Now if you already have a file in which you'd like to save it, if you already created one, that's good. If it's open, that's where it's going to save. Let's create a new one. We'd go to our library. At the bottom of the library window you see New Chart File. Click that. Window opens and we're going to name this. Let's name it, you can name whatever you want. Each file will hold up to 960 chart data cards. You can organize them in any way you want. Think of it as a file cabinet. In the file cabinet you have the charts folder. In the charts folder you're going to create files. So we'll name this file Friends. We don't have a tag to put on it. Now we need to save this in the charts folder. So if IO files is selected, you just browse to the charts folder. Now the charts folder is in Documents inside the IO files folder. So that's what you'd browse to. Select the charts folder, save it, and as I save it you'll see two things happen. One, a window opens called Friends. There's no data in here yet. I haven't saved anyone in here yet. And in the list I now have, under the charts folder where I saved it, I have a chart file called Friends. Again, I can save up to 960 chart data cards in each one. And again, organize them any way you choose. So we'll go back to the card. I'm ready to save this card. I click Save, and you see that it appears in the list of friends where I wanted it to be saved, and there's a thumbnail of the information right here. So we have now made a card for Bob Dylan. We could actually go back here and either drag it from here, or I mean, we made a test for Test Joe, I'm sorry. We can drag it from here, or we can put our cursor someplace where there's no text in the card window itself, and you see that it turns into a hand with a blue sheet behind it. I click down and hold and drag it over to the left side, which is the natal chart, and you see that I now have my person's natal chart in here and the nearest lunar return. So we're ready to go with that. That's it. That's how simple the program is to use. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, never hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much.